Now, they like to call him Sleepy Joe, but US President Joe Biden is getting pretty busy signing a heap of executive orders. Here's some details from Fox News reporter Lauren Blanchard.
Day 9 in office and more executive orders from the White House. President Biden's focus on healthcare Thursday as he works to strengthen Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, which was weakened under the Trump administration but never replaced. The orders will open a special enrollment period for Obamacare from February 15th through May 15th. He'll direct federal agencies to reconsider policies that limit access to those with pre-existing conditions. He'll rescind the Mexico City policy, which prohibits federal dollars from going to foreign groups who provide abortion assistance, and begin rescinding Title X, which stripped millions in grants to Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers.
No one should have to choose between their livelihoods and their own health or the health of their loved ones in the middle of a deadly pandemic.
He's busy sitting there signing documents. I spoke earlier with New York Post columnist and Daily Telegraph columnist Miranda Devine. Thanks for joining us again, Miranda. Tell us about how Joe Biden is wasting no time shifting US politics to the left.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, isn't it? I guess he's doing what he promised he would do, but with bells on. You know, for someone who in his inaugural speech talked about unity and healing, and that was sort of the promise that he was going to be moderate, he's really done everything that the far left of his party has wanted him to do so far. I mean, the things that they can't do yet, like stacking the Supreme Court, they need to do in Congress, but he's decided that he's going to create this sort of committee to look at stacking the Supreme Court, which means, of course, they'll tick it off and say yes. But, you know, he's just signed off on this slew of an unprecedented number of executive actions, which are basically where the president just signs a piece of paper and makes something happen without bothering going to Congress. And, you know, he's done everything from all these climate change executive orders, which include just abolishing an oil pipeline from Canada, which is called the Keystone XL pipeline, and, you know, 12,000 jobs that were with that. And so our TV screens the last few nights have been full of these, you know, blue-collar workers who had nice jobs in states like Montana and South Dakota and now don't. And so that's been just quite shocking and quite sad. But also, you know, he's signed one on abortion, on rescinding a Trump, or I think it was before Trump, but an order saying that you can't fund overseas abortions. That has people up in arms because, of course, Joe Biden claims to be the big Catholic. And he's, you know, 40 executive orders, everything from, you know, health to 11 million, making 11 million illegal aliens permanent residents, stopping the border wall being built. And to me, that's just shades of Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard all over again when they just dismantled John Howard's border protection. That's what Joe Biden's doing here, and he says quite openly that he is undoing President Trump. He's basically cancelling President Trump. That's his aim.
Yeah, I want to come back to the executive orders in a moment, but this is the fine line, isn't it? He's got to do what he promised to do, and of course the government's going to move to the left a bit, but it's a pretty narrow win, a tightly contested win, and you want to actually govern for the centre or you'll be lost. And when it comes to the border changes, most Americans support border security, and there are already alarming signs. You've got these so-called caravans of migrants heading north, thinking they might be able to get across the Mexican border.
Oh, well, of course. You know, he's put the sugar back on the table. He's signalled to, you know, millions of people south of the border, which, by the way, those countries, Honduras particularly, are in dire economic straits and also dire coronavirus straits. So it's only because of some Trump-era arrangements with, say, Mexico and Guatemala that the biggest of the caravan was turned back. But, you know, eventually these people are looking for a better life and they will stream across the border. And that is what, Joe Biden and the Democrats kept on calling any time Donald Trump had an event in the Rose Garden, they'd call it a super spreader event. You have got a gigantic super spreader event about to happen on your southern border. And the Texas government down there, the state government, managed to actually get a court order to stop some of the sort of border dismantling executive orders of Joe Biden, which has been a bit of a setback for him. But, he's just determined to upend the whole migration arrangements. And
it's going to be a real test for him. It's going to be a real test for him looming, I would have thought. We don't, in Australia, lack any understanding of how potent these border protection issues can be, how damaging they can be to people trying to get into a country as well as those already there. Just back to the executive orders, I want to get your thoughts on this because, of course, presidents are supposed to use them judiciously. Big changes should go through the legislative process. And the critics of Donald Trump often said that he acted like a dictator, signing too many executive orders. Well, Joe Biden's left him for dead.
Well, he certainly has in his first 9 days. I think Trump did 5, and as I said, Biden's done 40. Trump did about 200, a little over 200 in his 4 years. So Biden's up there, doing 20% of that already. And even the New York Times has criticised him for that, I suppose trying to be a bit consistent with the way they attacked Trump over it. But it makes no sense, really, considering that Joe Biden the Democrats have power in both houses of Congress now. So even though it's narrow in the Senate, that Kamala Harris has to cast the deciding vote, he still has the Senate. So, you wonder why he is doing this, other than it's a symbolic issue showing that he's in charge and that he's busy, that he's not Sleepy Joe.
I think you're spot on with that assessment. Thanks for joining us again, Miranda. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.